Kaladi, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure, sure.
Awesome, awesome. Hi, Kaladi.
Hi, Muid.
Um,
Hi, guys.
uh, yeah, I'm excited to be here. To be honest, but then let's do the right thing. Welcome um, um, to our fourth episode. Here we dive into the world of product management, gather questions from product enthusiasts, and bring it to senior guys like Kolade and Emma, and they help us look into it. I mean, from their experiences. I mean, it's not everything we can see in books, or or see on LinkedIn. I mean, maybe sometimes we see it on LinkedIn. Maybe people like Emma and Kolade um, actually went on LinkedIn and post their experience about a certain use case or a feature, basically. But then we just um, decided to have something like this that people can effortlessly just send their questions to us. The organizers get them together, get expertise on the people that are expert on this, and have them to join the call, and we have the conversations like this. And I'm the host for today. I'm Muidin Akoni, a senior product manager at Be Free, and also a proud member and a moderator at Proba. Um, yeah, our hosts for today. I mean, it's the first time that we're having two guys to come talk here. We have Emma and we have Kolade. Um, I mean, I've done a little bit of an FBI thingy. I've gone through you guys' page on LinkedIn, and it's amazing. I'm happy to have you guys here. I mean, just Kolade, you can just do, and Emma, you can just do a little bit of introduction.
Kalani, would you like me to go first?
Sure, sure. Yeah.
He's a gentleman, and I agree. Really?
Thank you so much for hosting us. It was a really awesome to have someone reach out, and since we both work for an organization that is Pan-African, it felt right that it was the right place to be talking and engaging with product managers. And if you'd done a little bit of research into what we do, we work for the African Management Institute, where we're really focusing on creating learning that equips managers and entrepreneurs with the tools and training they need to succeed. And I guess in a way, what ProBar is doing is really around supporting product managers to succeed and lead and to grow their careers. So it's a real honor to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Kalade, you want to go?
Kalade, over to you.
I think Emma pretty much nailed it. So we both work as product managers at African Management Institute. We have some combined years of experience in product management, and hopefully we get to interact around products here today. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that. I mean, thank you for. It's nice to also know that. I mean, maybe we are the like the smaller parts of your organization, but then hopefully we get there. And yeah, I can say effortlessly that I'm probably maybe like the first graduate from Proba. Yeah, I'm happy to say that. But then it wasn't Proba then. It's just me having to like um, have the founders of Proba today mentor me while I dive into product management, and it was an easier experience. I mean, so it's more of whatever I have people to talk to, and they can effortlessly guide me to what I should do and what is next for me as for my career. Um, so yeah, I mean, enough of in me. Let's go into what we have today. I mean, so I'm sure this must have been shared. We just want to have a discussion on. I mean, since it's one of like the major thing that you guys do where you work currently. Um, we want to discuss journeys and experience of transitioning into product management. I mean, if how was it for you guys? I mean, Emma, how are you able to like transition into this? And what would you have suggested? I mean, to be the best way to transition into product management?
Well, I never imagined myself as a product manager, and I have to admit that I probably, if I really had to think about it, well, if I really had to think about it, I could define it, but I often think that the role is quite fluid, and I can't always easily explain to people exactly what it is that I do and like the intricacies of what product management really is. Such a broad, complex sphere. So that's the first thing. And I guess I came to it from a really broad perspective. I did my undergraduate in human geography. I've then worked, I did my master's in development studies and really focusing on community development and alternative economies. And then I went on to work for, I've had quite a data orientated career. So my first job was working for an NGO based in Cape Town. I'm from Cape Town, I forgot to say that. And I was working with neighborhood watches and community organizations to work around community generated data. And so I was supporting these groups to collect information about the communities that they were living in. And from there, I founded my own business and I was working with small scale farmers across Cape Town to help them to access markets. I ran a vegetable company, basically, that did logistics and delivery for small scale farmers. And over lockdown, a host of different things happened that meant that we needed to close down. And I ended up meeting with Bronwyn, who is a chief product officer of AMI. And she gave me a job as a project manager for a big data project that AMI is working on, which maybe during the course of the call I can tell you a bit more about. But we're building a data warehouse for our company. So a lot of the product that I work on is really internal product rather than necessarily a purely client-facing product. And I think we'll maybe speak about that as well. But that's kind of how I came to it. So I have a mix of community work, a lot around people engagement, a lot about being able to facilitate, and then having a data and systems processes lens, I think has allowed me to journey into a role of product management. And I specifically focus more on product operations. And so like I'm really systems data driven in the work that I do. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I mean, I like how you're able to like help us move from where you started with. From your undergraduate to your masters and how you're able to connect data. I mean, when you work with NGOs and now how you like solve internal problem because basically I think that's what it is. It's if you are not facing the businesses, then you are solving for people internally. That's awesome. Colade, you want to go ahead, please?
Sure. Um, my own journey is quite, I say, yeah. So I did computer science in school, computer science in school, and when I got this opportunity to intern at an organization then, since 11 years ago, 12 years ago, they were pretty much building a product. So my focus then was, just to contribute to the tech part for that product. I was pretty much working. Java was the in thing then. We were working on that. But when I got in, it was actually an ed tech organization, and I was really, really, interested in everything around content, around the product, and around the engineering side. So pretty much, aside my primary responsibility, I was also focusing on coordinating the project. So I started working with the engineers, started coordinating. Um, Scrum and all of that were just, coming into the, this is like Lagos then in 2011, 2012. So I just found myself as a project manager, but in a space where the focus was on product development, corporate development. But really, I wasn't really thinking about product management at that point. So I was kind of going in technical project management, perspective. And at some point, my focus really was how do I get my PMP certification? Everything was PMP, So anyone you talk to will say, you have to get this PMP certification so that you could work anywhere. So I was just focused on how do I get this my project management, and there were lots of them, so that was my focus. But really, I was still, contributing to the process of product development, managing end to end. But at some point, I think when I changed my job some years back, so I had the opportunity to work with a CEO who was more, product management focused rather than project management focused. Because project management then was just how do we just ensure that we build this particular product or feature or what have you. But in terms of product management, started getting into reading, coming across books like Lean Startup, like Marty Kagan's Inspired. I felt like, wow, this is quite different from what I've been focusing on. So I would say I read my way through it. That was the first thing. And I also had the opportunity of learning product school then. And the lucky part for me was I was given the opportunity to work on some projects then, about one or two, where it was more of what I was expecting of me was product management, and had the opportunity to even make some decisions, look at markets and all. So I became the accidental product manager. So from there on, I just I just took on the product management cap. I removed the project management cap and found myself in product management. So over the years now, it's been product management for me. So that's
Interesting.
my journey. Yeah.
Interesting. I love your stories, to be honest. I mean, I can say I have like a more more like story with Colade, but then mine was not. I wasn't even doing product or project at any point. I was just I was in operations completely, and at that point we outsourced the tech parts to some guys are in India, and they were not coming forth, right? But because I my team get to use that product, so they get to talk to me most of the time. We want to build this. How should we build it? I'm like, okay, this is what we want. This is how we want it. I mean, I probably don't know how they are building it then, but I just say I want to be able to click the button and be able to do this. At least I've used like Salesforce and the like, and I know if I click a button, I can get this, right? So I was talking to those guys, and there is like um, and they were unable to deliver. Then the CTO then just woke up and was like, let's get a front end and a back end guy. Let's start building this ourselves. And I was like, okay, since you have been the one that they have been talking to over time, do you think you can do product management? Don't worry, I'm not going to check you. Just help us check this. Just look at these guys and tell them what they need to do. When they build it, tell them if you're able to use it or not. And that was it. And I was doing that for almost a year, and I met the founder of Proba here, and he was like, "Okay, you need to go and do this. Okay, you need to go and do that." Then, and that's why I started doing certifications and started doing courses. But then, I already have a product in Nigeria and in Kenya already, but zero product knowledge. And when I was in class, and I was like, "Oh, okay, so this is what this means. Oh, okay, wow, okay, so this is what I'm supposed to be using." Oh, so, and that was it basically. It's an interesting one, to be honest. It's I'm happy to have you guys here, and um, I really wish we have a lot of guys that really want to dive into product, and they will just see that sometimes it is not magic, right? I mean, you can be from anywhere, in as much as you are determined and you know that this is what you want to do, then you can be in that space, to be honest. So yeah, what are like the skill sets to transition into this? From what we can look, what we can see is that Emma has like a data skills, which is also like one of those beautiful things to also show that you're a good product manager. I mean, you should be able to know what metrics should look like. You should be able to know what numbers are like, right? For Colade, it is more that you've been in the project side, and yeah, I mean, if there is one or two difference that we have with product and project is that maybe when you're done with the project, you probably don't have any concern around it. But then you've been in that space, and while building a product as a product manager, you wear so many hats. You wear so many hats, right? I mean, you think of what is possible, and you jump into it, right? Um, in as much as we try to separate project and product, there's still so many things that is intertwined between them, right? But then what is expected for people that want to move into product management? What are those things they need to see and say, okay, I think product management is what I should do next, and if they are going to do it, what are they supposed to look out for? I mean, those skill sets that they need to like be keen on, basically. I'm leaving it open to whoever wants to take it first.
Emma, you want to go?
I'm handing that one to you, Kalade.
All right then.
Yeah, sure. I think yeah. So there are a couple of skill sets you probably want to be looking at. You see, so from Emma's perspective, for example, if you look at what she talked about in terms of data, so that means she's coming with a certain expertise in this case, and that's data. So obviously, she's working on a big project that needs some sort of data skills, and she's so to say an expert in that field. So that's one. So one of the key things here is anything you're doing, just make sure you're you have some sort of expertise in it. That's one. So if you're coming from different angles, just make sure that the first thing is you have, you're one of the top guys when it comes to that aspect. So data, that's one for Emma. In my own case, um, I would say in the last couple of years, I've actually been in the edtech sector. So that's when I'm even talking to people, that's an expertise that I come in with. So you can see there are some product managers that focus has been on fintech, some it's been on health tech. When you're in the tech space for product management, you can actually switch. But for me, aside the fact that I've been a good product project manager when it comes to education and technology, at least in the African space, I've done quite a number of things. So when it comes to that expertise, just make sure you have that in place. The other thing is it's the business side, and you don't necessarily need to you don't need a business degree. You don't need to go to university to have a second degree, an MBA or whatever. You just need to really understand your product, for example, or what you want to really focus on, and you need to be able to really sell the product, so to say. So for example, if I met you at a cocktail party and asked you about your product, you should not tell me about the techno bubbles of your product. You should really be able to tell me the business side of your product. That's another thing. We also have these days we have the engineering side. So I don't expect you, for example, to I didn't expect you to have a degree in software engineering or computer science, but really you should understand the basics of computer programming, for example. And pardon me, I'm actually focusing on tech product management. There could be other aspects of product management, but I'm really referring to the tech side. So you need not you writing codes, but you want to be discussing with engineers, and you don't want to get lost. So there are a couple of things that you just want to get acquainted with, things like Scrum these days, agile practices, and what have you. And the other side, I think that's the last side, is in terms of design, user experience. When when they ask product managers, what is your role? What do you do? The major thing that a product manager does is delighting customers in a hard to copy, imagine, enhancing way. So how do you, the critical thing is how do you delight the customers? You need to be able to give them the experience. If you have basic background in design, understand user experience, how users think, that empathy, that communication with users, it's really, really going to give you a lot of edge. So I would say expertise in your technical area. I would say being able to, move in and out in the engineering space. I would say the business side, you need to be kind of grounded, understand the business side. And I would say the user experience, the design side. So these are a couple of things that you probably want to be looking at when you want to venture into product management. Hope that makes sense.
Can I add?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So I think for me, I definitely come with a far more of like a generalist approach. So I mean, what Kalade has spoken about is super generalist. You have to be skilled in lots of different spaces. But I do think that Kalade, you are far more of a like technically process skilled product manager than I am. I think where I see like the way that I've come to product, I maybe don't know a lot about product processes, and you're very kind to call me a data expert. I'm not. I understand data, but I don't like code, or I don't build data systems myself. But I think the skill set that I think is really important is this collision between a product, the user, and the people who are building, growing this product. So it's someone who understands and who can integrate with a user and think about what a user's wanting and like try and brainstorm it. Kalade has mentioned that in kind of user experience. So also understanding, for instance, like in my role, I do a lot of work with our internal teams, trying to understand like systems that are working for them or not. And it's a very human approach, actually. It's you need to be empathetic, you need to be very good at managing people, you need to be able to connect with people, you need to be able to easily pinpoint a challenge that someone's facing, and then think about the technical system and how we're going to make it work for these divergent needs. So I would say that that's another strength that I think can lend itself to product management.
I totally agree with you, right? I mean, Koladi has mentioned like knowing the business, right? I mean, knowing the market itself, right? And you also mentioned on this, I mean, having problem solving skills. I mean, you probably I've seen people that you meet, they probably know the market, they know the business, but they probably don't know solutions to it, right? I mean, it is not just about you being a product guy, it is finding the problem and finding solutions to it. Basically, I love that. So I mean, it's obvious that you don't necessarily have to have a degree. Like Kolade said, you don't have to go for an MBA for you to know what the market says, um, um, and obviously, really do not need to go back to school to study computer science to be a product guy. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you've mentioned that knowing um, the industry, I mean, that you want to solve for. I mean, because I mean, terms and um, guidelines and rules are different across different industries. I mean, like you mentioned, you've been in the educational space for years. I mean, and that's like one thing that you know. How do you think it's very easy for somebody to move from that space and say maybe the next line of job is like you being a product manager for a payment system, right? What do you think is necessary? I mean, we should. I just want to like know how easy for somebody to move from um, an industry to another, and what I like basic things that you need to know. I know you still circle back to having to go and study about the industry, and yeah, that's like one of the major things. And I mean, what are like other stuffs that is needed for a product manager that is moving industry basically?
Emma, you want to take that on?
I don't know if I have a lot of experience, but I guess I'm a product manager who's moved from being an entrepreneur to working and in the vegetable industry to working in education. And I guess it takes a bit of guts, actually. I think we don't always, I think we're all just, we all willing to learn. You've got to be willing to learn. You've got to be willing to get a bit out of your comfort zone. And like for me, I ended something very strongly. I and that propelled me to find a new space, and I kind of just took the leap, and I put myself into a space that I was interested in. So I don't think I have a super like technical approach to that, but I guess just taking the plunge and giving it a go and reading up. And like I did a lot of when I was looking for work after closing my business, I was doing a lot of research about entrepreneurs in Africa and like reading about different organizations. And I actually came across the African Management Institute in my research. And I at first was interested in food systems work that they were doing because I obviously have worked quite a lot in food systems. But then started learning about more what they did and found it really interesting and had an interesting conversation with someone. And that propelled me to switch industries. So yeah, I guess it kind of was quite natural in a way, not a formal process.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I agree with research. I agree with learning. I mean, research is going to help you learn. I mean, I'm moving to an industry. Research is going to let you know what it is there, what are like the products that exist already for the kind of solution you are trying to provide. How better you want to like implement it. Research is also like also researching the kind of users that is going to use it. I totally agree with you. I mean, it's like the basic of transitioning into any industry. And you need to know the research about the industry, research about the certain users in that industry, and research about the existing product that provide that very type of solution. Thank you. Yeah, Colade, you want to add something more?
Yeah, I'm probably not the best candidate to talk about transition because, like I said, I've been in edtech for many years. But at some point, I got an offer um, with one of the top, the biggest payment providers in Africa, um, and I would say I was even on the verge of resuming with them before joining EMI. So I would say at some point I was kind of going to transition from edtech to fintech. So the basic thing there, and what that organization was looking at really was my product sense. So it's really, and this is beyond it's beyond your current expertise where you actually the sector you're focusing on. Really, like it's more about, like Emma mentioned, how do you solve customer problems? How do you connect what the internal stakeholders are doing, and you looking at the users, the external stakeholders. And one of the major things that I was able to do, or I was able to show there, was the fact that I was willing, I was ready, to get out there, get out of the building, to connect with customers. There's this phrase in Japan. It's called, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it properly. It's called Genki Gebunchu. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a popular phrase that the guys in Toyota use in Japan when they're building their product. They believe if wherever you find yourself, you just need to get out of the building and connect with people, understand what they're doing. So whether you're in the edtech space, and you want to go to the food space, or you want to move to the health space, you just need to be able to show that you can connect with the customers, understand what they need, and with the basic experience you have, you can really bring everything to life. So really, you need to be able to, like Emma said, you need to be able to want to make that content, make that move, explore, get out, talk to customers, and show that overall you have that product sense. That's my take on that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you honestly. Product sense is very important. I mean, it's what even makes you a good product manager in the first place, regardless of the industry that you are. And at the end of the day, if you are now moving industry, you also know that, I mean, having to understand the users, like you mentioned, I mean, it's also key. I mean, like in product manager is a saying that I used to say, users are always right? I mean, because at the end of the day, apart from the stakeholders that actually wanted us to build it, we the users are still the end guys that is going to say this is successful. They are the ones to give us the numbers. They are the ones who help us understand that, oh, I think we are building the right thing. So yeah, I totally agree with you, Colin. Thank you for that. So yeah, I think the next thing is that, I mean, how I know a bunch of guys that are probably good at the basic product management thing, right? I mean, if you give them a project, they'll probably do well, and go with it. But then, how do you put yourself out there? How do you build a successful product manager management career? Um, uh, Mentorship, networking, and learning opportunities. Basically, how has this? I mean, this is like um, a day-to-day thing for all product managers. We, no matter how high you are, you still have somebody you talk to. You still have, in short, sometimes it could be like you are talking to a junior guy in another industry because you want to build a certain feature that's going to connect to help you, I mean, talk to some other customers in another industry, right? But then, how do you manage all of this? How do you get what you want and effortlessly help you as a product guy? Um,
I can take a stab, although I haven't done much progressing as a product manager just yet.
mhm,
But just a brief response, I think. I would say that it's really about iteration and learning from others. If I had to
mhm,
think about it, especially if you're working in agile methodology, I kind of approach the way that I work in the same way. So I really, I learn, I experiment, I try something, I say, that didn't really work. How am I going to manage that process next time? I also do a lot of learning from my peers. So, for instance, I find Collade like an amazing resource because he has a really strong systems product approach. And so I watch how how he does things. I engage with his process. For instance, there was a scrum manager at our organization who I really admired for the way that he was able to engage with engineers, but in a personal way and bring them out of their shells a bit. And so I would take a learning in that. I might see a process outside while I'm hanging out with friends or doing something interesting and see something like a icebreaker and take it back into my space and see how I can use it. Or like even sometimes get inspired by things that you wouldn't really necessarily like associate with product, like for instance being out in nature and seeing like how like something works very beautifully together and thinking about okay, what are the components that come into this and like make this work so well? How do we continue to that? So I think like I don't know, that's a very like strange response maybe, but I think I like kind of am trying to say that it's like this very iterative explorative thing for me at least.
yeah. I mean, to be honest, well, the thoughts about agile alone already answer all of the questions, right? It's a methodology that just helps you even grow as a product manager itself. Like the iteration part, it's not just only about the project. You even get to get feedback from whoever is working. I mean, your engineers, and I mean, they are able to say this is what they don't like about a certain sprint, and this is how better they think the approach can be. I mean, all of that. I mean, thank you, Emma. Kolade, you want to add some gems too?
So in terms of I think we're referring to how you can make progress in this area.
Yes, I mean, help you as a product manager. How do you help your career? I mean, talking of mentorship, I mean, collaboration, just like Emma said, I mean, having to like um, um, be get mentorship and talk to your fellow product manager while building something and make sure that you are actually growing. I mean, you are building features. I mean, you are solving problems, and you personally, you are also growing. And also maybe also putting yourself out there, basically.
Yeah. So I think one of the most important thing there is this opportunity of where you find yourself. You would see, like, for me, for example, I mentioned the fact that one of the greatest opportunities I had then was I had a CEO that believed that I could do product management. So automatically, he was because the CEO of a company that's probably built a product is the de facto product manager. You can see what Elon Musk is doing.
Hmm.
Even if many people do not agree with Elon Musk's way of building products and all, he is actually the de facto chief product officer in Twitter. So if you
Yeah.
have that kind of opportunity, that's one good way to start in terms of getting mentorship. For example, right now, um, I, I, I and Emma, we work with a chief product officer who has lots and lots of years of experience in product management. So when we do things, we have the opportunity, to reach out to her, get a take, an insight into how to go about stuff. So that's one way. That's one way. The other way is in terms of working closely, because there's no one that is just entirely firehouse of knowledge alone. You need to really collaborate with peers, with colleagues. So one good thing really is if you are able to collaborate, ask questions. I remember there was a feature I was trying to build some years back, and I was just sitting together with a colleague who was also a product manager then, and he just came about with a very good suggestion. And I told him I was going to test this out, and I tested it out. Actually, it didn't work out well, but because of the fact that he suggested it, it could have worked out well. So that's why it's always good to talk and talk to your colleagues. And like Emma said, when you're working with other product managers, there are instances where where you have for Emma, for example, where you're working with her, you get some insight into how she wants to get this done, and you're able to quickly make some progress on that. So that's a perfect example of working closely with colleagues. The other aspect, and that's these are internal stuff, internal relationship building. But in terms of external building of relationship, I think platforms like social media platforms like LinkedIn, for example, they are a very good way, to showcase yourself and reach out to product people. Um, I've seen instances whereby people actually, talk about some aspect of product, and they're just new in product management, and they get some sort of engagement on what they are talking about. Before you know what you're doing, or before you know it, you're contacted by a recruiting manager who really wants an opportunity to grow someone in product, and you get an opportunity to start working there. So if you don't have the opportunity at your current place of work, you could really, talk about a product in some places, some professional places like LinkedIn. And I've seen instances again where people, out of curiosity, can take up some aspect of a business, analyze it, and look for ways to really get to the people who are working on the product and give them suggestions around it. So these are some of the ways in which you can actually improve yourself. This program we're having, for example, is an avenue, say for example, we're having people ask questions and all of that. This is an avenue where you can actually meet with people, network. So networking is very, very critical and vital. It's within your industry, within your organization, and outside the organization. And using platforms like LinkedIn has proven in the past, to help people, do stuff like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree, right? I agree with the fact that I mean it comes internally wherever you work. I mean, if you have a job already, then uh, having to collaborate with senior product managers within your team, have discussions. You own a certain feature doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't share it, right? Where I work, we have a culture of even if you are going to like share the document and wait for the approval of the stakeholders, you still share with your fellow colleague and say, I think I'm done with this document. Do you want to have a look? Do you think there's anything that um, is missing and you can help me with it? Sometimes it could be a call. You jump on a call and say, yeah, I have to do this, but this is the approach I'm looking at. You've been in this industry for so long. Do you think this is the best approach? This is why I've seen this data, and I say, this is it. And sometimes the person will just say, if you go this route, this is exactly what you're going to get because I've done it before, right? When I was doing that project, this is exactly the approach I tried and it failed, right? It's really, you should take this other step. And sometimes it's like, oh, this is fantastic, right? I think you should just add one or two. Sometimes it is, oh, this is good. um, I mean, it also helps you. driving that product, right? I mean, feedback that you could have taken personally with that person, you don't necessarily have to be in a very public meeting that the person is not asking those questions, right? But if it is like you have like a bit of collaboration with whoever you are working with, well, do one-on-one with them, and before even coming to submit the feature completely, questions that needed to be asked have been asked, and you probably solve them, right? I agree with that. And also like doing platform like Proba, joining management community, having to be on LinkedIn to see something, and on sometimes maybe even having to like share your own thoughts on Medium, thinking about even maybe an industry that you don't even know, you have nothing to, you have no knowledge about, but you just write something about it. You'll have people come and comment and say, "Oh, this is it, that is it." I mean, I've seen a lot of that, and I love Medium a lot because I see people write. In short, sometimes when I want to build feature, my research starts from Medium, and next is LinkedIn, and maybe Google last, right? And Google is always like my last resort. I really want to see real life experience from. I mean, people talk about it. Google will probably tell you, they just like shade it for you. But I mean, when people have done it, they write about it. And sometimes I even engage the writer personally and say, I'm about to build this. This is the approach I'm looking at. Is there any advice that you have? I mean, it's also like part of you yourself as a product manager. It's part of research that you do. Uh, thank you so much for this. I mean, personally, I think I'm also learning. I mean, it just take me back to what I used to do from the beginning. I think I'll also go back to it. So yeah, I mean, what advice do you have for aspiring product managers? I mean, what encouragement do you have for them? What are like one or two gems that you want to drop for them to make them understand that yeah, it might be a roller coaster, but then it's doable and it's super possible.
Emma?
Emma, I would like that you go first.
I was secretly hoping that Kalade was going to go for it because I don't know if I have the secret sauce, but yeah, I guess take a leap. I think that for anyone who is interested in product and who is interested in furthering their career in it, you just have to have an interest really to get started. I think what Kalade and I have really shared today is really about um, the fact that if you if you have an interest in a subject, you can really learn on the job. I would say that I've done most of my learning on the job. There's so many opportunities to learn from peers, and I think that would be it for me. I more no more than like what I've already said. In response to some of your other questions, I think I don't have much more to add. But yeah,
I mean, to be honest, that's absolutely it, right? I mean, you just know that there is no step that is too big. The challenges will come, but be sure that you are learning from it, and I mean, learning on the job basically. Claudia, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the advice. I think the first thing really is there's this thing from Good to Great, Jim Collins, where he talked about the three triangles when you're venturing into a business. So I would try as much as possible to kind of use this scenario as well. When as a product manager, if you're really trying to venture into product management, you want to really grow in that career, there are a couple of things you should pay attention to. The first thing is you need to answer this question, and the question is, can I be very good at what I'm doing? The second thing is, can I get some economic returns from what I'm doing? And the third thing is, would I be very, very happy with what I'm doing? So if you're able to answer these questions, um, as regards what you want to do in product management, that's the first aspect. And you feel like all the answers are yes, then why not? You can actually venture. That's one. I think the next one will now be based on your background, like we've all seen during this session, that product managers can actually come from different backgrounds. If you're coming from an engineering background, you have computer science, you know about algorithms, you know about writing codes and all of that. You're going to be working with other engineers. In fact, you might be working with much more experienced engineers who've really worked on product on features for a long while. Or you might be working with engineers who are not your level in terms of your own expertise. So you need to really understand the process of communicating. How do you communicate with people? It's not really about the engineering side. You could know how to build all the codes in the world, whereas you have challenges in really understanding what the customers are talking about. So in this case, you need to be able to work closely with engineers. As an engineer, you also need to be able to understand what the market is saying. If you're coming from a business background, like a marketing background, like I said, you really need to also develop yourself in some aspect, like the engineering side, user experience side, and what have you. And more importantly, or most importantly, one of the greatest assets you could have as a product manager is empathy. And this is really the soft side of things. You because we say customers are always right. That's one part, and there's this also very general saying in product management, that customers are supposed to tell us their problem, whilst product managers are supposed to tell them their solution. So they tell us the problem, we prefer the solution. As you are doing that, you really, really need to understand that customers want to tell you the problem and the solution at the same time. So you're dealing with customers who feel they know the problem and the solution. So you need to be really empathetic towards their plight. And you're also dealing with internal guys. So one of the major things you'll be doing as a product manager beyond the code, the research, is you're collaborating with people, you're managing people. So you need to really understand from their own perspective. You need to communicate and all of that. So hopefully, if you have all of these things working for you,
I need a lot of sanity for that.
what?
I said you need a lot of sanity for that.
Yeah. So hopefully, if you're lucky and you have that sort of sanity going on for you, it will be a successful product manager.
Thank you so much for this. I love every part of this episode. Guys, I mean, do we have anybody here who wants to like drop one or two questions? If you don't want to say it, it is fine. Just drop it on the chat section. I'll read it out and we'll attend to them. But to be honest, I really feel that this episode is very explanatory. I mean, but then let's just wait for guys. Okay, I'll take that as a no. I mean, it is explanatory. Thank you guys. Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Kolade. Um, it's super nice for you to for us to have you here, and yeah, this is also like to make um, a to also like mention to guys that at Proba we also like do a bit of mentoring, and also like we have courses that we do take also, and in but majorly for product managers, right? And aside that, you can also like always subscribe to this Firechat. I mean, and also like bring up your questions, and we'll be happy to like bring in expertise on them and help you answer your questions. Until the next time, keep innovating, keep learning, keep being passionate about the world of product management. Uh, this is me signing off, and take care. And remember that the next great product idea might just be around the corner. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mayadeen.
Bye bye.